Welcome back to episode 11. I am your host, Keith Cunningham, and this is your other host,
Travis Gearhart.
And we are
Disenfranchised.
Look at that. We were actually on time. Oh, it's on time over here. Maybe I need to move a little faster, I guess. All right, we're going to go ahead and start the show off with sports like we normally do. Now that the Olympics are over, we have a solid medal count. The U.S. medal count, there's 33 in total. We had 12 golds, 12 silvers, and 9 bronze. But
we got our asses handed to us by Norway, man.
Yeah, Norway.
It makes sense. Norway's the winter
Olympics, right? The only one that would outdo Norway would probably the only country that would outdo Norway would probably be Russia. Norway, I'll get to it really quick. Norway had 41 medals, 18 gold, 12 silver, and 11 bronze. And Russia was not there this year.
No, they were not. And so we did a little bit of a deep dive because they didn't touch on it much, that Russia wasn't there. The only reason I knew was because it was kind of talked about in passing. I mean, first of all, I didn't really watch the Olympics hardly at all. I think we touched on it a little bit during it, especially Winter Olympics, though. That's not super uncommon for me personally. I'm just not a winter sports guy. I used to kind of catch the same thing. I think curling we caught a little bit of.
I was hooked on curling. I watched that at first I got hooked on it because I'm like, how in the hell do you score? So I had to look that up.
We've been asking ourselves that question as men our entire life.
It was nonstop questions. How do you do this? What is this called? And by the time I figured it out, I could almost be a coach of a curling team. So,
well, like I said, that's the big joke, that they're like the U.S. men's curling team looks like a bunch of dads just got out and made a weekend project and found themselves in the Olympics. You know, that's kind of like the joke about curling.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of make that joke too with cornhole when we had Mark Richards on.
Yeah.
So that was a good episode. I mean, we got a lot of good feedback on that one. That was cool. A lot of people didn't know that about it, and a lot of people wrote and said, "Hey, this was a really good episode."
Yeah. All right. So what Russia was not in the Olympics. There was a anti-doping scandal.
Yes, which was interesting. So the dope investigations by the World Anti-Doping Agency found evidence that Russia operated a state-sponsored doping program. Drug tests were manipulated, lab data was falsified, samples were swapped during the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics. And so the punishment was that the Russians could compete, but not under its flag. They couldn't play their national anthem, all that stuff. And then there was the whole Ukrainian stuff in 2022. And at that point, then the IOCC recommended banning Russia and Belarusian teams from international competitions. And so, yeah, they were not, Russia did not have a team there, which is, I mean, I understand it. I understand, trying to make a point. But Israel was there, and Israel committed a genocide.
They're committing.
It's still are committing a genocide. Oh yeah, it's kind of the same thing that makes all of us kind of cringe when it comes to sports and politics. Combined. Like, you shouldn't. I understand that this is an international thing, and there's different things that they do to punish them, and this is one of them. But then Israel shouldn't have been there. I mean, Israel got booed.
Yeah, but does the World Anti-Doping Agency, have they looked into the genocide?
Well, that's the funny thing about it. Yeah. How much dope were, Well, that's the funny thing about it is when you talk to a lot of these, if you listen to any of these athletes and then they talk about doping, right? They all dope. The question is, do they stop doping with just enough time so that they don't get caught?
Well,
right?
We had the story in one of our past episodes. I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Is the anti-doping agency, are they checking out how the the long distance ski jumpers were doping up their little penises and making them,
Yeah.
4 to 5 inches bigger.
I mean, you'd think, you'd assume, but I would be interested in finding out if they do end up doing anything about that. Or, because here's the other thing that happens more often than not, is a little bit of money gets thrown at it and it disappears. Right? I mean, that's what happens in
Yeah.
sports. How many times does that happen? That somebody's like, "Oh, well, such and such is happening." Nobody talks about Robert Kraft getting a tug job because he put a bunch of money into different stuff. He made some anti-Semitism ads. Nobody cares about it, right?
I'm thinking, like you say, a little bit of money gets thrown at it and then it gets shut up. What money was thrown at the injecting of the penises? Was it Cialis or a new injectable?
Well, it's funny and not to drag in the Iran stuff because we're going to touch on that. But I made a joke online because all the boomers are out literally hard for Iran, and I made a joke on that. I go, man, all the boomers are out here. You should let them know that if they have this erection for too long, then you actually have to have Lindsey Graham take care of it. That got quite a few laugh reacts.
And we must put out there that Lindsey Graham, while he has a woman's name, he is a guy.
Yes, if you well, I would hope that if you're watching our show, you have at least a cursory knowledge of who Lindsey Graham is. Lindsey Graham is a closeted gay neocon. That's and it's not even very well. He's been on record talking about how every chance he gets, he goes to Israel. He's basically that guy who talks like this, and we're gonna go to war. We're gonna go to war. We're gonna fuck him up. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to war. We're gonna fuck him up. Anyways, we're going to talk about Iran later. So we're still on sports. So yeah, so that was kind of what we just wanted to touch on with that. It's kind of crap. It's crap that the politics in the Olympics is the same politics as what it always comes down to. It always comes down to money, 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 and money. There's one other thing, money. Then there's
There
money.
you go.
So yeah, not to be black-pilled or whatever, but that's what it comes down to. And again, I'm not team Russia by any stretch of the imagination, but I do kind of, when you start looking into some of that stuff, you kind of understand like, hey, this is kind of crap. Like, I don't know. Whatever, doesn't matter. We got some Bears news. Well, Keith has some Bears news for you. He's
I lost it all. Well, a little bit of Bears news. There's a trade buzz going around about trading Cole Kmet. They've been talking about that
shouldn't.
during the combine. Tremaine Edmonds, the Bears are allowing him to seek a trade. They're still talking about Max Crosby, being traded to the Bears. I don't see that happening. I think the big one now is the quarterback. Where the hell is it at? Why can I not
Like,
remember his name? Tyson Bagent.
yes.
Trade rumors on Tyson Bagent. There's a lot of a couple teams trying to pick him up, steal him from the Bears. My opinion, you just signed him that big contract. Well, it's not a big contract, but it was $10 million. You
Big
signed
for
him
a
that
backup.
contract for a backup. It's good, but I think he's a good backup. I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I would keep a hold of him. I would not let him go. Have you heard anything about the stadium by chance there, Travis?
Yes, I did hear a little bit about the stadium. So, I asked if there was any news on the stadium front, and yes. So, Indiana Senate Bill 27 was officially signed into law this week by Governor Mike Braun, creating a stadium authority and funding framework for a potential new Bears stadium in Hammond near Wolf Swamp. Sorry, Lake. This is the biggest legislative step yet toward Indiana actually hosting the team. Um, they haven't decided yet. So their Illinois bill, Illinois lawmakers are advancing House Bill 910, aimed at giving large developers like the Bears more flexibility on property taxes to keep the team in Illinois. A House committee advanced the bill, but some Democrats have expressed reservations about its broader impacts. And they're kind of right. Like, again, we talked about this on the last show. Everyone's like, "Oh man, I'd love to have the Bears in Northwest Indiana," and it's like, yeah, but they're the fact that these teams that make so much money are the only way that they're going to go one place or the other is if you bow down and kiss the ring and try to make it so that they can just make just a little bit more money. That kind of pisses me off. The older I get and the more I look at it, I'm like, oh well, because here's the other thing I've been reading up on a little bit, that they don't create that much jobs, like that many jobs in the area. Like it's usually, yeah, you got some property value go up for the people that are immediately there, and we touched on that on the last show, but I don't know. I hope Illinois somehow finds a way to keep him over there. I think that that's probably still the higher likelihood. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I still think, I don't know. I think Illinois is going to pull it out at the end.
Yeah.
And they're going to end up in Arlington Heights, which I'm okay with. I'm fine with that.
I mean, honestly, like I said, it costs so much money to go to a game anyways. If you're just an average blue collar worker, you're only going to a game if you get some reduced cost tickets, or it's a negative 40 degrees out and you get some tickets on StubHub, somebody's selling them at the last minute real cheap, right? And even
Well,
then the parking costs $150. The beers are fucking $30 a piece, so I
I
don't know.
didn't like how the deal was set up to where it's going to be new taxes imposed on Lake and Porter County for a
Mhm.
stadium. How does building a stadium in Hammond positively affect Porter County?
Basically on the state line.
Yeah, but how does having Porter County, have to raise those taxes? How does it affect them in a positive
It
way?
doesn't. Well, and that's the funny thing about it, and that's why I mentioned that on my candidacy page, because and on the Times, Northwest Indiana Times stuff, I was like, just another example of Republicans and Democrats working together to screw the common man. And that's the truth, because you can't say everyone's like, oh, well, look, Governor Brown, the Republicans can move this bill so quick when they want to. And it's like, well, let's hold on. Let's not forget that it's McDermott that wants this. So this is the uniparty. Once again, when it comes time to actually make major moves and actually do things, the uniparty is undefeated.
Yep. So, okay, back to the Bears and their roster. The 2026 salary cap for the NFL is a new NFL record, by the way. It's set at $301.2 million. So that's
Inflation
what
is
you,
also undefeated.
there you go. The Bears are currently over that cap and they must make moves before March 11th to comply. So they have what, 10 days? They have 10 days to comply. Cap relief will likely come from trades like Edmonds or restructured deals or different smart contract moves. The Bears have the 5th-year option on Darnell Wright, so they can either take Darnell Wright being a offensive lineman who's actually decent. They could either take his 5th-year option or they could restructure him into a longer deal. If I had to guess, they're going to restructure him into a longer deal. But the Bears also carry a lot of veterans. Not a lot of veterans, just a handful. But
Yeah.
typically how a veteran's contract work is they load it up on the back end. So the final years of their contracts are really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And the two heaviest right now with their veteran contracts is wide receiver DJ Moore and Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, DJ Moore will be traded. That's my guess. And
Yeah, because
Montez
he wasn't. I
Sweat,
mean, he's a good wide receiver, but he's not great, right?
he's good, but I don't want to talk bad about him because I like him.
He's a good physical wide receiver.
He would have to take a long extended contract in order to stay with the Bears, or the Bears have to trade him. I don't
And
think they
how
have
old is
much.
he? He's got to be 30, right?
Yeah, he's
Or
got to be
close to
close to
30,
30 or
29 or something.
yeah, something like that. Montez Sweat, I think he's a decent player too, but I think what would make Montez Sweat better is if you brought in a Max Crosby or the guy that I think the Bears are ultimately going to end up getting is that guy from the Bengals, Hendrickson, or
Henderson.
I think it's Hendrickson.
Maybe, but see, I wouldn't now as a Cowboys fan, because we've got Kenny Clark that we are that so we're in a better spot than the Bears are. But I could see trading a Kenny Clark to the Bears, giving you guys a front piece right there. Because who's your defensive tackle? You guys don't really have
We got one that's decent, but
Yeah,
we
but
don't have big name tackles.
yeah.
But the Bears they need to cut their cap space by 4. Let's see, the estimation says about 4 million to 6 to 7 million right now. Now here's why they opened up Tremaine Edmonds as basically trade bait to trade him away. Trading him would save 15 million in cap space.
There you go. Problem solved.
Yep, you trade him, you can keep everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The on the Cowboys news, George Pickens was franchise tagged, which doesn't surprise me. But
that
between
means that
that and
that typically means that when you franchise tag somebody, yeah, you got him for one more year, but you pissed him off, so he's gone next
well,
year.
they did it. They said that they're still open to talking. They're franchise tagging him, and they're talking about a long-term deal. I think that there's a chance. Um, I think there's a chance they bring him back for a decent amount because he is a little bit of a head case, right?
Yep.
He's got a little bit of baggage. The Steelers traded him pretty cheap to us, and then he had a hell of a year. But there was times when we were winning a lot that the people were saying like, hey, he didn't show up for this game as much. He kind of gave up on some plays. He walked off. I think that's a little bit debatable. The games, a lot of the times I saw the same thing and I was like, well, the play was clearly over. Yeah, sure, you can say that. But he did also get fined a bunch because he there was a couple of times he was late to practices, stuff like that. Just kind of typical shit. I mean, there was the joke was when the Cowboys, I remember when they showed up and just whomped on the fucking Raiders, they both him and CeeDee Lamb didn't start. They didn't play the whole first down, the first what do you call it? The first set of downs because they were both out late gambling and drinking. Well, and then they showed up and like both put up like 150-yard games or something stupid, So okay, he'll take a little bit like, hey, you didn't show up to this practice or you didn't do this right. We're gonna slap you on the wrist. We're gonna give you a fine. Show up. Come on, do your thing. He seems like he needs a little bit of a push and prod, and it seemed like old Schottenheimer has the ability to do that, right?
Yep.
So regardless, we sign him. Hopefully, we sign Brandon. They'll take Brandon Aubrey before they worry about Pickens. Like they'll give Brandon Aubrey basically whatever they want. He's basically a cheat code. You'd be absolutely stupid to not sign Brandon Aubrey. But it's Jerry Jones, so you never know. You just never know. Well, is there anything else with sports or the Bears that you wanted to?
No, not right now. I think that's good, but I do want to mention something. I'm drinking Arizona grape aid. It's really good. I kind of hope to get a sponsor from Arizona. Now, if you don't know about Arizona, I'm putting that out there because nobody knows this about this guy. The owner is Don Voltaggio. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, he repeatedly said that the company's famous 99-cent can, 22, 23 ounces, 99-cent can. They keep telling him that they need to raise his prices. You need to raise your prices. You need to keep up with inflation. The can has been 99 cents. I was looking at it on here since the early. In recent years, some stores have changed it to $1.25 or to $1.50, but Arizona has resisted officially raising the printed price. And he says, okay, this is the owner of the company. We are successful. Why have people who are having a hard time pay more?
Yep.
It's like, it's
Yep.
kind of interesting. What else has he said? He talks about inflation.
I liked a lot of their green tea ones back in the day.
Oh,
I kind of got more into like the sparkling water type stuff. I know, I like the fancy water, but it's I kind of get into that stuff like the Topo Chicos.
so
You know,
it's family owned and it's private. Arizona is not publicly traded. He doesn't
Good.
have Voltaggio says he doesn't have Wall Street shareholders demanding higher margins every quarter. He doesn't have any plans on ever making it public.
Good.
They keep their packaging simple. They rely on high volume rather than high markups. Man, I don't know, man. I'm a big
Yeah,
fan of them. I
I
like
like
his
that too.
business model.
Well, that's to me, that's true capitalism, right?
Yeah,
Like everybody talks about like we are in late stage capitalism. Right? Yeah, and we've talked about that on the show. But that's not real. Like what we have is not. I mean, we basically are a socialist society. You know, as much as Republicans are like, "Oh, the Democrats want to make us socialist." Listen, it's already there. They've nickel and dimed it. The boomers voted it in a long time ago. It's been put in slowly since, honestly, since the 80s. And the only real tax cuts they've given have been corporate tax cuts from the top, which some of it I don't mind. Like if you're going to do a little bit, but then again, they rely so much on this. Well, a rising tide raises all ships. I mean, I've recited. Trust me, nobody has recited the Reagan trickle down economics mantra as much as you or I probably did in the early 2000s, right? In the
yep,
2010s. But the reality is some of that does happen, but not nearly to the extent that it should. Right. The reality is that you have a growing rich class, a growing poor class, and a shrinking middle class. And they've been talking about it forever. And that's kind of where we're at now. Right. You kind of got that where you're like, oh man, everybody wants to be corporate. Everybody wants to trade on Wall Street because it's the quick, easy money. Right. And once you're doing that, you're able to find loopholes, right? You're
yeah,
able to hire that high priced corporate lawyer that can figure out how you don't have to really pay any taxes and you can trade stuff down. I mean, look at we talked about it. We talked about it on last show a little bit about Lutnick with the tariff refund stuff, right? I don't know how it's not criminal, how you can have the actual like Howard Lutnick, actually his family do what they did with the tariff refunds. It's
yeah,
crazy, So we all paid extra money for our groceries and everything, literally picket that got shipped over here because of the tariffs, and they're gonna give checks out to the billionaire corporations.
yeah,
Look,
good.
I'm not some pinko commie scumbag. I'm not sitting here waving the communist flag. Far from it. But at a certain point, you got to stop playing team sports, dude. And that's all this Republican versus Democrat stuff is. It's disgusting. And you know what? That really segues into kind of what we were talking about. Like, a lot of people, so we're reaching the back half of the show, which is usually when we start getting into politics more and stuff. And then we've had a lot of people that have been like, we really like your sports stuff, but we don't want to get involved in politics. Geez, and it's like, we've talked a little bit back and forth, and I thought I don't mind having shows like the Mark Richards show where we didn't really talk politics literally at all. It was just all sports. And we've had shows. We had another one that was almost all sports. That was just a regular kind of weekend show.
But then we also have this coming up show on Wednesday. It's all politics.
All politics, all immigration politics. So
It's a good show.
it's a
I
very good
really
show.
enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to editing that and get it set out. And we've got a bunch of good shows down the road that are going to be also very political.
Yep.
But here's the reality is you can stick your head in the sand and you can say, "Oh, well, I don't really want to get involved in politics but listen, then you're part of the problem."
Well,
That's the thing. If you're not going to listen to different ideas and you're not going to open up, look, man, we're both reaching our 40s, right? Or you're in your 40s. I'm gonna be 40 this year. And it took
I
me a
am
long time to
42.
really.
My birthday was
Oh yeah, happy
yesterday.
birthday, man. I forgot. Happy birthday. Did you
No, I'm too old for that.
I don't even like getting tore up anymore.
Well, anyways, while you're taking a drink, I want to mention this last thing about the Arizona.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
This is grape aid. I like grape juice and stuff, and this is actually really good. So, Arizona, Voltaggio's stance isn't that inflation isn't real. It's that his company can absorb it and still stay profitable. He chooses not to pass it on aggressively. That sounds mighty, mighty American of him. He's positioned Arizona as the anti-shrinkflation brand. Big
Yeah.
can, low price, long-term customer loyalty. So if you haven't tried out Arizona sweet tea, Grape Aid is amazing. They're cheap.
I've never had the grape aid one. I want
They're
to try that.
good. We go to
Of course,
Strax.
every time I hear the word grape now, I just think about the how you have to use the word instead of the R word, or else you mess up you get banned on YouTube.
See, I should not have mentioned the Grape Aid because I go to Strax and it's usually at the top shelf where the stuff is. And I buy like almost every can. And now I'm gonna go there and it's gonna be
Oh,
gone. It's
gonna be
good.
gone. All of our viewers, our hundreds of viewers, I mean,
All
it's
hundreds of
growing
them
actually
are
quite a bit. Yeah.
they're going to Strax and they're scouring the top shelves for the Arizona Grape Aid. But I was just sitting here drinking it. And I know the guy's got a good story, and
No, dude,
he's
that's
one of the few companies that are not trying to rape us.
to grape us.
Yeah, they're not graping us.
Man. Yeah, it's yeah, but that was the little mini rant that we wanted to add in between the
Yeah.
two political sections about like, look, man, you don't got to believe us either. Don't take everything that we say for look it up yourself, dude. It's when you start really digging into some of this stuff, you start really climbing into some of these rabbit holes. Get out of your comfort zone because I tell you what, the comfort zone's disappearing fast. Like
Well, what a lot of people
it's
don't
coming.
realize. Yeah, you don't want to be in politics. You don't want to. You like the sports section. The sports section is nothing but politics. The Bears
Yeah,
moving their stadium is nothing but politics.
the Olympics.
The cap space, that moving what the cap is, it's all politics. It's all political. I
Yep.
know if you're just getting involved now, you don't see how that's political, but trust me, it is. Their
It is.
jerseys, everything about their jerseys are political. Their helmet, what does it say? Like no hate and all that other bullshit that was on the back of their
Right,
helmets.
right, right.
If I owned a football team, it wouldn't say any of that shit. If I owned the Bears,
Nope.
it would say Chicago Bears. And it probably wouldn't even say Chicago. It'd
Monsters of the
probably say
Midway.
Bears. Yeah, rise above hate and all. They're just being used as political pawns.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. That is that's a
And
good little mini rant there to
their halftime shows it's all political. I mean, if
all
they
of it
didn't
now.
have Bad Bunny on the halftime show, if they had somebody that was more American, I guess you could say, then there would be no need for Turning Point USA to have their little halftime show or the Puppy
Yep.
Bowl to be so damn big. I mean, just have something that is more uniform to the country.
Yeah.
You can't say that either because it's political now. Oh, he's a Puerto Rican. He's a what the hell? That's a fucking U.S. territory. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think we're done with sports. We can move on. Let's go. Let's go a little bit more local. Let's go. You've seen some of these schools. What was it? East Chicago, Hammond, I think it was.
Valparaiso,
Doing Valparaiso did one
Portage,
too. Portage.
Portage. Yep.
The student walkouts for what was it? ICE protests, immigration protests, whatever you want to call it. Hey, imagine that
Yeah.
political.
Always
So, what are your
political.
thoughts on it?
Man, listen. I understand. So first let's frame it out. So the people that are the pro-Trump MAGA people will say that it's a place for teaching. There shouldn't be any politics in it. You don't have any, you're a kid. You don't know. The teachers shouldn't be pushing it. All valid arguments, all things that I don't necessarily disagree with. On the other side, just because, it wasn't all that long ago that I was a teenager and I wasn't super political, but I was like, damn the man, fight the power. Um,
You were raging
and
against the
I
machine.
was raging against the machine. I was a raging Cajun. And now my kids, right? So my daughter actually in school, she had a thing where she helped to lead. I forget exactly what it was. It was about a year ago, but she helped to lead like an online kind of protest about the school, like making like they had different girls that were able to dress more provocatively because they were the popular kids. And then if there was another girl that their dress was a little short, then the school would like give them not a citation, but like a warning or get them in trouble. And she was like, well, what's the policy then? So she made a push for them to make the policy more uniform. And then my son just recently got into it with one of his teachers, and because there was a student that you're not supposed to have energy drinks in class. And there's one, so she walked by and took one of his friend's energy drinks, and it was like, hey, you're not supposed to have this. And he was like, and Gage was like, well, how come you're letting so and so have it? And it was some girl that was in the corner, and she's like, because she's new and she doesn't have very many friends, so I'm trying to be nice. Well, that's fine. You can do that, but then you got to do it for all the students. Like, that's bullshit. Basically, it was kind of like a sexist thing. We had teachers like that, teachers that were like, hi, honey, hiya. You stinky little boy, you get to the back of the class. Like, there
Put
were, and it's,
this I am
yeah,
Mrs. Weeks' best friend shirt on.
right, right. Like, you had teachers that and staff that very clearly were more in one camp or the other. And again, it's human nature, and you can't eliminate that entirely. And so that's why you have to allow the walkouts. You can disagree with them, and you then, if that's the case, then put together a pro ice walkout. I don't know, man. Like, put together back in the day, man, when Obama was first getting elected, we protested. I spoke at how many tea parties, right? Which now was just garbage, because all the Tea Party candidates ended up, like Dan Crenshaw was, I think, one. They all ended up just being neocons and, wolf in sheep's clothing, basically. But yeah, like, that was when we got involved. It was like all the Tea Party stuff. Like, I gave speeches and we talked, and we're protesting, right? You're protesting Obama. You're protesting Obamacare. So then put together your counter protests. That's supposed to be the way it's supposed to go. So no, I don't. Now, how much of it is organized and orchestrated by teachers and personnel? Probably more than we'd like. I do think that's bullshit. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is it truly a grass?
Is it truly organic?
Is it truly organic? There you go. Or is this being put on or being pushed by the teachers? Which, in my opinion, if it's being pushed by the teachers, then it's being pushed by the principals or the superintendent. Are they being pushed into this, or was this all on their own? If it's all on their own, okay. If they're pushed into it, then the teachers, principals, superintendents, or school board members should announce, hey, I encourage this. And I'd say they should come out and say that they encourage that, because my opinion, if they're encouraging it, I'm not for the walkouts or against the walkouts, but if a teacher or principal or superintendent is encouraging it, then the school board members should know about it, and they should put out there whether they're for it or against it, because they're the only ones that can be voted against.
I guess. I
Basically, put it
I don't
back in
know.
the parents' hands. Are the parents for it or against it? And
I
the only
imagine if
way
they're
that
a student walkout, they're probably for it. They're probably okay with it, but maybe not. I mean, here's the thing. My politics are very different than my parents. Well, my mom's,
yeah,
my dad, and my dad's pretty much in the fuck 'em all camp like me. Um, but especially in high school, my politics were probably very different than both my parents. Does that do I still have constitutional rights? I mean, we looked up the case, Tinker versus Des Moines Independent Community School District. The court ruled that students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate, but schools can restrict student speech if it causes a material and substantial disruption, interferes with the rights of others, and disrupts school operations. By its very nature, then, you're putting restrictions on your freedom of speech, because it's all disrupting school operations. It's all causing a material and substantial disruption. And that kind of goes in hand with, when I was, that's where you're doing it. That's where the protest is at. I don't know. That's where, so it's point then, And I kinda caught some flack back when I was on the Hebron Town Council. There was so we're gonna do a quick little story time, and
Okay,
only
well,
because it's relevant to this. But remember the bill that was pushed to do restrictions on allowing protesters at funerals? You remember that? That was
mhm.
back when the Westboro Baptist Church was hot and heavy. They were holding up signs that said, "God hates fags," "Soldiers die and go to hell," which was funny because it was, you had the left that was appalled and the right that was appalled because they're going against both people, that soldiers and gay people, right? So at the time, there was a gay guy that worked for the Republicans. He might still, Kurt Ellis. It was always a big kind of thing because he was a Democrat. He wore it on his sleeve. He was super liberal, and he worked for the Republican Party in many different ways. And there was a lot of other Republicans that were like, "Why are we employing this guy?" But he did a lot of media stuff at the time. I got along fine with him. We finally disbanded our relationship of knowing each other because he just couldn't help himself from being a dickhead on my social media. And don't get me wrong, man. Like, you can have a difference of opinion, but that's if you come on and you're purposely being a dickhead, then I'm going to take you off. I don't have the time or energy for that. And you don't have access to my social media, just like you don't have access to me in real life. If you come up to me in real life and you're a dickhead, I'm going to treat you like a dickhead. I'm going to remove you from my circle, right? So we stopped talking after a while, but he sent a message to me and on a bunch of the other elected Republicans at the time. Pretty sure Soliday was on that, a bunch of different people, and I probably still have the email. And he said, "Hey, there's some other states and other countries that are starting to put together bills and legislation that limits this, and they've already tested it against the constitutionality, and it's not considered a restriction of your freedom of speech. It's to say, hey, you can still protest, but you got to do it over there." Right. And so I spoke up and I said, "Hey, I would love for Hebron to be the first one to do it. Let me take this. I will run with this and I will bring it to the Hebron Town Council. I want Hebron to be one of the first ones to do it." I spoke up real quick. And of course, all the other politicians are like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. This is new. I just don't think." And so Hebron was one of the first towns, might have
It's
been the
scary.
first. It's scary. And of course, all the pussy Democrats didn't do anything about it. They were like, "Yeah, Travis, you can take it. It's fine." Ted Fitzgerald, man, rest in peace. He was a badass motherfucker. I love Ted Fitzgerald. I really did. He was a hardcore Democrat. He was the town lawyer. I got along quite well with him. I thought he was a cool dude. Obviously didn't agree with him politically on 100% of things, but man, that was a smart dude. He knew everything about that town. The town really did lose a legend when he passed. So RIP him, first of all. But second of all, much respect. He offered up and he said, "You know what? I'll do this one for free." He didn't even charge the town for drawing up the ordinance. And that was the first ordinance where I had protesters. And funny enough, I had a lot of libertarian protesters, and I still disagree with them on this concept because they were a bunch of guys that were like in the RLC stuff, and they were causing a big fuss. And I said on there, I said, "No, look, you're allowed within reason. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. I don't care how libertarian you are. I think that's still good constitutional law. You can't just straight up threaten, 'Hey, I'm going to kill you.'" You can't do that. That's not constitutionally protected speech. And it's not constitutionally protected that you're allowed to be in the face of a grieving widow holding a sign saying your son's rotting in hell. Look, man, I'm not saying you don't have the right to do it, but you don't have the right to be in her face because a lot of it was causing fights and stuff. So the legislation said you could do it, but you have to do it. I don't even remember what it was, 100 yards away. So it kept him off to the thing. And so I said, "Hey, I think that's perfectly fine middle ground. I don't think that you should, yeah, I think there's something to be said about being allowed to bury your dead, right?" So yeah, that was my story and about how when I was on the town council, we had a First Amendment kind of thing, and that was where I fell on it. I'm still proud of that. That was, to me, one of my main things that I did when I was on the town council. And shortly after, the county adopted it, the state adopted it. It pretty much ran like wildfire after that. But Hebron was one of the first people. And so, yeah, something like this, I think you do. I think you got to let the kids do it. I was watching on like the Valpo Happenings page, and there was some guy, and he was super MAGA. He posts videos of him showing up to the court protest. So obviously the Democrats have been protesting Trump pretty much unwaveringly since day one, which I feel like cheapens it when there's actual stuff to protest, but that's besides the point. But they've been protesting Trump since day one at the courthouse forever, right? And so this guy shows up there and he holds MAGA stuff and he tries to get in their face. You know, he just tries to stir stuff up, and that's fine. Whatever gets your rocks off, man. But he posted a video of him outside of the school, the Valpo one, like dressed up. You know, he caught wind that they were going to do it. And so he stood out there and did his own little thing, which was weird because it was like a grown ass adult. Like, I guess I would understand if the kids hosted a, you know, here's like, oh, here's your anti-ice protest. Here's my pro-ice protest. Let's both do it over here. I guess that would have, but this was like a 35, 45-year-old man, you know, out there. It was kind of odd. And one of the kids, he posted on the Valpo happenings because one of the kids yelled at him, "Hey, go kill yourself." and, and the teacher that was out there kind of watching it kind of had like a little half grin. And the guy that was doing the counter protest was like, "Oh, did you hear that? Is that what you're fine? Is that what you think the students should be allowed to say?" And I was watching, I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, shut up, man. Yeah, he told you to kill yourself. You're a weirdo fucking 45-year-old. No matter what your political things. Like, dude, don't show up to a student protest. Like, get back on the list where you belong, man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess from your statement, I mean, I guess your opinion
Yeah.
coming from you being a former school board member, you know? I mean, how much does that reflect on you, I guess?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. If I think if it was your school board or your superintendent that was pushing these walk-off, then that should be made known. That should be made known because then it allows the parents or the voters or their constituents to either vote for these people or vote against these people. But
I mean, do you think that goes sorry, go ahead.
it seems like that portion of it has been quiet. Nobody's mentioned it.
So, I guess from part of it is do you think that that has any bearing to do with the state of Indiana just made it so that if you're a school board member, you have to announce a political party? I mean, do you think part of that is
Eh,
is tied to it at all?
could be. Could be, possibly. I think you can still file as an independent for a school board member to run a school board,
Kenny?
but I mean, you know how it is. If you file to run as a Democrat or a Republican, this has nothing to do with school board, but if you file to run as a Democrat or a Republican, it's all the same. You go up to the county, you fill out the paperwork. They check your your last one or two primary votes to see if you voted Democrat on the last two or Republican on the last two, and if as long as you did
Yeah.
that, you are a registered Republican or registered Democrat. To file as an independent, you have to get it's a percentage of signatures in whatever district or area that you're running. They make it a lot more difficult to file as a independent, or if you're filing as, say, a libertarian. I mean, look at the hoops you have to jump through. It's and I'm sure it's
Not
the
too
same
bad.
with the not too bad, but I think it kind of proves the uniparty the way that, like on TYT, they talk about the uniparty. Why is it the Democrats and the Republicans to file to run for office? It is exactly the same. Independent has hoops to jump through. Yours is completely different. Why can't it be if you want to run as a libertarian or a Green Party or hell, if you want to run as the rent is too damn high party? Why can't you just go in there and file and run? Why do you have to jump through all these bullshit hoops?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's kind of crap that you have this gatekeeping done by these two political parties, and they will gatekeep that because they're keeping power, right?
Yep.
So yeah, you should be allowed to. I would love to have a ballot where you have, and in some places you have that, right? In some places you can jump on there and then maybe if you don't get enough votes to be complete, to completely do it, then you take the top 3 or whatever, and then you rerun, right? I think that you get better government that way. Yeah, the argument that you would hear from the hardcore R's and the hardcore D's are that, oh, well, you're wasting government resources. Listen, you guys done proved that you can waste government resources with the best of them. Yes, if this is a much more expensive way to do it, I'm okay with that if it means that we get better government. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather spend a little bit more money on the front end to make sure we get somebody that isn't a total douche canoe. And I hate saying douche canoe. I don't know why I said that. I feel like that's such a, like, I hate that word. It's not that I don't like it because I don't like the word douchebag. I love the word douchebag. I'll say it all day long. I just think the people that say douche canoes are the same people that say cheese and rice. Well, this guy's a real douche canoe. Cheese and rice. I don't know. Like, just say cunt and fuck like the rest of us. But we can't use that
Yep.
clip now.
So yeah, I mean, again though, I'm not against it or not really against it or for the walkout. I'm just
Well,
curious
yeah,
if
I'm just
the
saying.
powers that be had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
If they did, then and I don't even want to say that there should be consequences for that. If they did, they should put their name behind it because you have to give the people something to vote for or to vote against. Just put your name behind it. Do you agree with it or do you not? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And if it was a grassroots movement between the little chillins, then good. But I doubt that it is because,
Yeah.
every grassroots movement
It
you
might be,
tend
though.
to
I mean,
find out is bullshit.
see, that was kinda it might be, and the only reason I say it might be is because you do have a lot more people nowadays that are we talk about how Gen Z are gonna be the ones to save the country because they're not politically tied to either Republicans or Democrats. So, maybe there might be a chance that there's a fair amount of this that is grassroots. The shame of it is that there's so much, like everything, there's so much crap in the background that you have a hard time figuring out what isn't and what is. So I don't know. You're probably right. Maybe I'm haven't maybe these are little rose tinted glasses that I'm hopeful that a lot of these kids are active. Not even that I agree with them 100% on the ICE stuff. I mean, we've talked about the ICE stuff 1,000 times since Sunday, since it started. In fact, that's primarily immigration is one of the biggest ones that's going to come up on the show on Wednesday. And
Yep.
I agree with them on a lot of stuff in
Well,
that.
the show on
But I
Wednesday,
disagree with them on stuff too.
if you listen to this show, you need to listen to Wednesday's show on immigration, and you'll learn a lot, especially
Yes.
if you come across the border and you say that you're seeking asylum. You've basically just became a citizen for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
You're legal. You're legal. I don't know, just, I don't even wanna talk about that show, but just listen to it on
Yeah.
Wednesday. It's interesting.
It's good. The one thing about the show I did there was one comment that I made that the next week's episode I'll it had to do with a little bit of race. I'll clarify it on next week's episode. I don't want to spend too much time because we're already coming close to an hour and we haven't even touched Iran. See, and we were worried we didn't have enough topic material this week. Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us. So let's shift focus. Obviously, Iran is at the top of the news right now. I am going to read you my Travis Gearhart for State Rep District 4. Yesterday morning, I woke up and I got the news that everybody else got waking up. And this was my official stance. It's my official stance now. It will be my official stance. And we can kind of go from there. Anyone who has been following the news didn't wake up surprised this morning that the United States has begun military actions in Iran. While this certainly is outside the purview of a state rep, I also believe that people should know where their candidates and elected officials stand on important topics, and this is an extremely important one. I do not believe that what we are doing in Iran right now is either necessary or positively impactful for Americans, Hoosiers, or humanity. Without even getting into the broken campaign promises of our president, when it comes to unprovoked regime change wars, the United States spending resources overseas as haphazardly as they have over the past, well, decade should be criminal. While American taxpayers struggle to make ends meet, the president's recent ask for the defense budget was $1.5 trillion, and Republicans and Democrats alike will approve that budget while they go to the American voter and talk about trying to help the working folk. Medicare and Medicaid are just fine for cuts, but when it comes to our largest governmental expenditure, the Uniparty has all the money in the world to help Israel kill more people, whether it's Palestinians or Iranians. The president said in his speech this morning that there was a high likelihood that American lives would be lost, and that is unacceptable to me, and it should be unacceptable to all of you. I stand unwaveringly against this action on principle, on purpose, and on peace. If you are the praying type, please pray for our men and women overseas. Pray that this ends as quickly and peacefully as possible, and pray that our government begins treating our American monies and lives with the amount of reverence that they are deserved. Thank you.
Oh, look at that.
I have had, since I put that out, I had a couple of different larger pages. So there's a page called the Zillennial American, and a couple other libertarian pages that have shared that sentiment. A lot of different voters have liked it, commented on it, and I jumped up 11 followers for my page over the past 24 hours. So that resonates, right? That resonates with people. It's bullshit. I'm sorry. It's crap. It's crap that we're over there fighting. I don't even care. I don't care what Iran has been doing. We were the ones that overthrew their old government and put this government in. And so now we're going to try to overthrow this one and put in another government. And that's what we do, man. Here's the reality, man. When it comes to what we do overseas, we're not the good guys. We probably haven't been the good guys for a very long time. It's crap. We are basically just trying to make sure that Israel's taken care of in every sense of the word. And I'm not here for it. Neither is anybody under the age of 45 is not here for it. So they're trying to do it right now as best they can. They killed the Ayatollah and put
Well,
out
hold on. Yesterday, see, we don't. This is one reason why we weren't in a big hurry to talk about this. Yesterday, they said that we killed the Ayatollah of rock and roll. Now it's saying that he's possibly alive. There's no confirmed assassination or bombing resulting in his death.
I'm pretty certain that Iran admitted this morning that he was dead.
Did they admit it this morning that he was dead?
Yes.
I see. It was called Operation Lion's Roar, February 28th, my birthday. A large military operation by United States and Iran struck multiple targets across Iran. Now, this is Iran state-linked figures, okay? So Iran is commenting on this. At least 201 people killed across Iran, which seems like it seems like a small number. Over 700 people injured, including in these. This is Iran reporting this, so how much do you believe? But I mean, come on. If Iran reports it or Israel reports it, what do you believe? Who knows? A devastating.
Well, it's
all bullshit. Who knows what's real and what's not?
Well, what was interesting was that all of the major networks, not to interrupt, but this is within that same realm. They all stopped showing Al Jazeera television yesterday.
Did they?
There was reports. Yeah, Comcast, all of them. They pulled Al Jazeera because they didn't want information coming across to Americans.
It was. I was actually watching some of Al Jazeera when the bombing was going on, and they were showing it. But Iran's reporting a devastating strike on a girls' primary school in Manab, Hormozgan province, whatever. 148 deaths, mostly school children. Now, of course,
supposedly that was their own bomb that fucked up. Supposedly. But again, I don't buy it because they're like, oh, well, Laura Loomer jumped right out and was like, oh, that was crap. Their own bomb destroyed their own school. They did that. That was their own stuff, and they're blaming it on Israel. Well, you know what, man? That sure is that's kind of Israel's MO, dude. Israel has purposely bombed all kinds of shit over in the Gaza Strip, and Israel's always like, oh, well, they're putting the munitions right next to schools and stuff. Well, even if that is the case, okay, well, you're justified in just killing kids, and you're okay with that? This is an unprovoked war. Iran did not start this war. We shot all our shit over and said, you're not going to have nuclear munitions because we said that you shouldn't have nuclear munitions. Oh, by the way, they're not anywhere near doing it. They started re-roofing the goddamn buildings we bombed in the fucking 12-day war. So they've been 2 weeks away since the 60s. It's such crap. Absolute crap.
Again, going back to how I felt about the school protests and the school walkouts, the school board members tie themselves to it. Do you agree or do you not? Now, it doesn't matter if Trump ties himself to it because he is a lame duck president. But your U.S. Congress and your Senate,
Yep.
they should take a vote on this.
Yes. That is the most important part about it. What's actually happening isn't even that important. But Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna are saying stuff like this shouldn't be done without the expressed consent of Congress. And years ago, Congress gave that right over to the president right after 9/11 and said, we don't want to be the ones to make decisions. So let's go ahead and put this in the executive branch. This should not be an executive branch decision.
No, and this should be changed, taken away from, it should have to be voted on between your Congress and your House, or let's say the House of Representatives and your Senate should have to vote on things like this because there is no term limits. There's no term limits. So let's see where you stand. When a president, when a president does this through executive order, there is term limits on the president. He has 2 terms, and especially right now with Trump and with other presidents, it's a lame duck. He's got what, less than 3 years remaining? This doesn't hurt him at all politically.
No, he doesn't care.
No.
In fact, again, the main reason he's doing this is because his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is in bed with Israel and is doing all kinds of stuff over there in Gaza. He's doing this because Israel's his business partner. Like, I love all the people that are like, well, he's doing this because of the Epstein list and all that. And maybe, I'll never take that out of it, but until I see something really, really concrete, I've just never gotten that vibe from him. And again, that doesn't mean I'm a Trump fan. Far from it, obviously. If you listen to the show, you know it's true. I just don't think he's a kid diddler. I just don't. I think it's probably just as bad that he knows all these rich motherfuckers are kid diddlers, and he knows that he's going to be that the system would be knocked down a few pegs, and he doesn't want that, right? But also, I think he's also very much motivated by money. I mean, is it doubled or tripled his value since he's become president? I mean, as much as he wanted to get on that podium and talk about all the insider trading in cryptocurrency, let's find out. Let's find out right now, because it was talked about on a show yesterday. What was Trump's what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm already typing it in.
Estimated value before taking office versus now. You beat me within half a second. We're both on the same page here. It was his estimated value starting off was 3.9 billion. It has increased to 6.5 to 7.3 billion, nearly doubling over roughly a year. Investments tied to his ventures launched around his inauguration, market valuations in certain areas like digital tokens tied to his branded ventures, cryptocurrency and crypto ventures associated. I mean, it's hilarious that he has the balls to get up on that State of the Union address and be like, Nancy Pelosi, where is she? It's all the insider trading. Dude, you've doubled your value in 1 year since you've been president. Come on, man. And don't get me wrong, I'd agree with him on the Nancy Pelosi stuff, but that was the thing. If you watch that episode, and I like Don, I really do, the gentleman we were on with the State of the Union. But if there's one thing I disagree with him on, and I'll say I'd say it if he was sitting right here, is boy, he sure is still a Republican cheerleader. And that's fine. He's a Republican, right? He's going to cheerlead. That's why we left the party, because you don't need to cheerlead. It's asinine. If you have a favorite like Republican or Democrat politician, you're fucking weird, dude. Like, my favorite politicians are the ones that say, "Hey, Travis, I want you to have all the rights. I don't care. You do what you want to do." Like Justin Amash, Thomas Massey. I'll throw Ro Khanna in there, man. Obviously, I don't agree with him on everything. He's a Democrat. Yeah, they still got it, but boy, and there's few and far between. I don't know, man. It's insane to me. It's insane to me that anybody is still cheerleading for these idiots. I don't know, man.
Here's something that's kind of interesting. Trump's estimated net worth before his first term was $4.5 billion. After his first term, it declined to around $2.5 to $3 billion. So $2.5 to $3 billion. And then during the Biden administration, his net worth climbed from $2.5 to $3 up to $3.9 billion. So he made money while Biden was president, a lot of money. And then,
yeah, it's mostly real estate and life stuff.
Yeah. $3.9 billion at the start of this term, and then in 1 year he went from 3.9 up to 7.3. So it's a different presidency this time around.
Very clearly. Very clearly.
Focus. Yeah. Well, anyways, we are about an hour 6. I think if you remove the coughing fit I was having, we're probably about an hour 5, hour 4. I think that's a good enough show this time around. And I know you're busy; you got stuff to do. So
yeah, I got some running around. Well, and again, I'm sure we'll talk more about Iran down the road. We'll talk more and more about, I mean, the common theme of this whole thing is screw both sides. I don't. I mean, the funny thing about it is that, you got Disenfranchised Podcast, and we didn't even think about it. If you look at Disenfranchised Podcast, and the initials of it are DP, and that's exactly what we're getting from the Republicans and the Democrats. We're getting DP'd. So with that, that'll be the last thing I
drink your Arizona tea. He's a true American.
Drink your Basil Hayden's whiskey.
There you go. And this has been episode 11. I'm Keith Cunningham.
I am Travis Lee Gearhart.
And we are
Disenfranchised.